DOM, and inside of it, I'll be creating every folder, every file that we need to create. But I think we have, no, I think we already have something we were working with, yeah, which is this, yeah, this blog or something. I didn't continue it again. I needed you to do that. Yeah, so okay, let's work with that. Let's work with the file we were working with previously, which is the blog. Okay. So I need to show my full screen. Let me do that. Yeah, we were working with something like this. I just want to use this to explain the DOM a bit. So we'll be working with this, our document. If up till now you don't have this running, just tell me so that I WhatsApp some keys to you, because you should have this set up. At least more than that. You should have more than this in there. Not only this, I'm going to use it to explain how the DOM works. But you should have something functional, more functional than this one running. So, okay, why don't we move everything we are doing here into the DOM folder? Yeah, so I will move this blog. Okay, it says cannot get block. It's normal. I'll move this blog to the DOM folder. Then I will move, I think we used script. So I'll move script. This script. Okay, so I'll move script 2 to the DOM folder. I don't know if it is this script or it was another baby steps. Different functions. I think it is this script. But if it is not, it's grammar. We can manipulate it to meet what we want to do. Great. So right now, because we have moved it in here, I will start this one again so that it can target this file. Yeah, so it is telling me that it is not getting the CSS. Okay, this one had the CSS here. So I think I have to move it in here, then refresh. Okay, so I have to target it again. Where was our CSS actually? Okay, let me check from the file itself. So it says it is CSS block. Oh, okay, so it is CSS block. So this time we need to move an extra step like this. Let's go back and recreate the whole scenario. So we have boom, boom like this. This one is bringing us inside boom, so we need to go back twice. We need to go back twice and then target CSS and block.css. That's good. Then we also need the bootstrap. So we also need to go back twice. Then target that one. Good. So we have our stuff back. So I think we were using this one to start. Let's go back twice and do that, even if it doesn't do anything for us. We know that we have it in there. So we now have, it's not, you don't have to necessarily, if you want to move it to a different folder, fine, but you don't have to necessarily move it. I want to organize whatever that we are doing so that I have my DOM here. And through that, you'll be able to, you are also learning how to be calling, how to be accessing files from different folders across your entire, at times you may have folders within folders, like a hierarchy of folders to about a 7th generation or 3rd generation, which is not advisable, by the way. But if you have that hierarchy of folders, 7 steps deep, or let's say 5 steps deep, or let's say you have a folder outside of the entire folder that you are using to work, and it's in a different folder entirely outside of, yeah, that is how do you access, like I access CSS. Probably there is another folder inside of CSS, or even these 2 folders, they are both inside a folder, one single folder. That is also inside a certain folder. So how do you go back to access that? With the IntelliSense built inside Visual Studio, it's very easy for Visual Studio to suggest for you what you must do, or like where to go to find the file. But you have to know how to organize your stuff. Don't mess them up all the time. So we are working with this, and we want to do something. Yesterday, you see, we looked at functions. And we saw that with functions, we can actually cause an operation to occur. You can cause an operation to occur when we probably trigger a button, or when we probably want to do something. Now we are going to work with this DOM. So that means that down here, the scripts, did we add the scripts? Okay, we didn't add the script. Okay, we didn't add the script. So let's come down here and just do script like this, and then the type is going to be a text type. Then let's say JavaScript, the text type of JavaScript, and we target the source. The source is going to be, no, they are all in the same folder. So it's going to be, scripts.cs. Yeah. So we have the script to working in here. So now what we want to do today is to do certain things with our DOM. We saw the last time that yesterday that you can work with functions. You can work with you can build functions to do something for you. You don't necessarily have to let that thing run when you start your program. So in our case, we have this here. Let's first start with the basics. And I think I'll have to delete everything that's here. Let's first start with the basics. Now, DOM, like I already explained, is document object module. So what document object module does? Okay, fine. What the document object module actually does is to help you access the tags inside of your HTML front end, of the front end of your web, your HTML framework. So you are not actually accessing the CSS, you are not accessing the buttons, you are accessing the HTML framework itself. So the HTML, every page you see this way is a document, like I said the last time. Every page you are seeing here is a document. So this document actually can be accessed. And when you are accessing the document and then manipulating it, you are actually using certain kinds of modules. You are building into a certain kind of modules that will let it behave in a certain kind of way. So that is what the document object module is all about. So it's like the relationship between, like you are going to turn this document into an object and then build some modules out of it, like build some structure, some interactivity, build some behavior. We are going to make it behave in a certain way. Great. So let's just say that I have this, and then down here under this, we will want to probably bring the results of these two numbers. Now, whatever we are going to do here, let's just say it is an addition game. So we were calling it a mathematical game. So when we start the entire thing, here we have already given it like 50. Now let's go to our block.html and have a look, and we see that it is 50. Why don't we just remove the 50 and make it 0? Or let's just remove it like that. And when we see that right now, when we come here, there is nothing for the limit. Excuse me. There's nothing for the limit. Now, what I want to do is that when we start this program, I want the 50. Sorry. When we start this program, I want the 50 to appear here, the 51 to appear here. So what I may want to do is to give this span a special kind of ID. This tag, the tag we've named span here, a special kind of ID. Now, this ID, let's just say we are going to give it an ID of initial. I told you that you should be particularly careful with how you name your stuff. You should be named in a way that it is readable. Readable, at least, don't put in any certain things that are not readable. So initial, okay. So we have initial num. Let's just say initial num. But with IDs, you can bring in hyphens. They work like we did the last. I think these things I've explained earlier. So we have initial num. Now initial num, when we come here, we want to like access initial num, and anytime we start the program, we want you to like give it an initial number. So what we do is that we need to target that particular how do we call it, that particular tag, the span, the initial num. Right now the name is initial num. So what you do is to write document dot get element by ID. Now you can get element by class, actually by class name. That one, this by class name, when we reach React, you see how it's the major thing in there. That is what React uses. It uses only class names. But this time around, you see, you can get elements by class name, by tag name, or by tag name ns. What tag name ns? I think I'm now seeing something like tag name ns. But I know of tag name, and class name. But in this case, we are getting it by ID. We are getting our elements by ID. So you just say get element by ID like that. And you call the ID name. You call the ID name. So the ID name in our case is initial num. Now, after we have this initial num in place, what do you want to do to it? What do you want to do to it? So I want to, which parts of this tag do you want to access? So I want to access the inner text, or the inner HTML. If inner text doesn't work, you can work with there. As for the inner text, inner HTML, at times you can use inner text and it will not work. You can use inner HTML and it will not work. But if inner text is not working, inner HTML is going to work. And there is also inner, I think there is content or something like that. Text content, yeah. There's also text content. You can actually use that if both inner text and the inner HTML, they are not working. So let's settle for inner text first. Inner text. So inner text simply means that the text that should be in the middle, like we wrote 51. What do you want it to be in the middle? So we just say that we want 51 to be in the middle. Let's refresh this and see. We are not getting it showing. Let me see if we are targeting it right. Oh, sorry. The initial was wrong. Initial. Great. So we now have it 51 showing here. So what if this 51, so is it always going to be 51? Probably we may want it not to be 51. Maybe anytime we start this thing, we want it to refresh itself. We want it to be 51. When we start this, we want it to be 51. So if you want it to be, we want it to be a random number. Sorry, we want it to be a random number. If you want it to be a random number, there is a function or a library inside JavaScript known as the math function. And the math can help you access a random number. Now, if you open it like this, look at what it's doing. It's going to give you, and I don't understand why it is that way. I don't know why it is that way, but the random numbers inside of JavaScript works within a certain kind of range. Random numbers inside of JavaScript, they don't go beyond 1. Like, they don't even reach 1. I don't remember the last time I got 1 as a random number. Anytime I'm working with random numbers, it's all about 0 point something, 0 point something. You can keep on refreshing. You can keep on refreshing and find out if it's a fact or not. There is not a chance of going to 1. You probably land at 9, 0.9, something. Like, we are not talking about conversion. We are not talking about approximation. Like, you are approximating it to the nearest 1 or the nearest something. No, we are talking about like what number it is producing. The decimals, their chow. So probably you might want to multiply this number by something so that you get something tangible to work with. Let's say by 30, so that you can get something like 4 point. Get it? 4.22 something. Or you might want to do that with a very bigger number like this. Then when you save, you are getting like 42. So that is how random numbers actually they work inside of JavaScript. I don't like it. I honestly do not like how random numbers work inside of JavaScript, but I think we can work with that. We can work with that, and you can explore more. You can explore more around this JavaScript randomization of numbers, and then probably come out with your findings for us to also know what to do with. So that's what it says. It says that between 0 and 1 returns a pseudo random number between 0 and 1. So to fixed, presenting a number of fixed point notation. Okay, number. Let's move on. So that is about start. So let's say anytime we start our program, we are going to get a number. Great. But when you refresh, our problem is that once you refresh, you are actually destroying the game. Is that not it? When you refresh, you are kind of resetting everything and all that. So we don't want to refresh all the time. But whilst we are practicing, we may be refreshing and maybe destroying whatever that we are doing. So we may want to say that, okay, this one might go because we don't need. But if you want to stick to a certain number whilst you are working, you can stick to that. Let's stick to a specific number. But I just wanted to show you the random number so that when you are working with it, we will not be using the random number as it is like this all the time, mind you. We will actually be working around we will actually be working around a fixed kind of number. But for now, let's stick to our random number between a certain kind of range. Then we use that as we go along. Great. I don't know, some small kind of Qatar wants to attack me all of a sudden. Let's move on. If somebody is saying that I should rest, I know like Chris is saying it in his head, but he can't say it in his mouth. Okay, let's go. So we want that when we start this game, and we say that you should start the game, you should give us some random numbers in here. Please, a minute. Let me sneeze or something. Yeah, Spencer, your hand is up. Hello? Okay, she's taking her hand off. Yeah, so this is the random. Sorry, I said this is the random. So we want to, when we start this game, when we click start, you see when we click start, the page will not refresh, but we want something to happen. So when we click this start, we want to change the text on it. We want to change the text on it. And when we change the text on it, we want these two numbers to actually change to some numbers. We want these two numbers to actually change to some numbers. So the best approach we can actually use is probably to go the function way. I think that would be our best approach. Go the function way. So let's see. Let's create a function in here. Let's give our function a name like simple name. So function start. If we just say start, check. It's function next num. Let's just do something like that. Next num or next random number. Yeah, that's how I want to name my function. Great. So I want us to do something. I want us to do something like something very simple. I want us to just target this DOM, these two numbers inside the DOM. So these two numbers inside the DOM, we have them as num1 and num2. So let's just say that document.get element by ID. Then we say num1 dot inner text. We don't want this random dot. We will be using random, but for now we don't want random dot anything. So let's just say will be equal to 5. Like will be equal to 5. We are doing some random something. We are not actually doing any hardcore stuff. Then we would I just copied and pasted it. So we will let the second one be 4. If I refresh this, you are not seeing anything in here. You are not seeing anything in here because this is a function. You haven't even called the function. You haven't called the function, so it will not work. Probably if you call the function straight here like this, next run, and you refresh, you are going to get it. But that's not how we want it. If you call the function next run, you are going to get these two numbers, but that is not how we want it done. We want the user to actually, because if you do this, that means that anytime you refresh this page, you are getting these two numbers showing. These two numbers, like they will show every time you refresh the page, while we haven't even started the game. So we want to actually start the game before we can have see it running. Great. So we don't want this here, but rather this thing we had here, we want to go to our blog, and then this is the button. Where is our button inside our blog? Look, yes, this is the button. So these two buttons, we have BTN. Yes, sorry. So it is, what's the ID? Did we give them an ID? No, we didn't give them an ID. You see if we need an ID, but I don't think we even need an ID. So we want the start button to set these values to like some numbers. So what you do is to bring the property. There's a property called onClick. So onClick will simply go and target the whatever function or whatever. You can even write a function in here. You can write a function in here actually, but it's best to write the function in a script file, a JavaScript file, and call it. So onClick, we want to actually click next run. So you do next run. It actually knows what you are trying to do, understands what you are trying to do. So if I click start, okay, let me remove this without having let's see if we are targeting our file right. Oh, we are targeting our far right. Next run. Let me see how I spelled this. Okay. We didn't bring any this capital. Please be sticking to some particular type of stuff. You see, if you, that's why I don't like using, but this is the best naming approach for functions actually. I mean, I don't like it. And when you make a mistake, that is case sensitive. So when we come to this place, you just type in here, next run, you type the function, you call, I said you type the function, you call the function from here. Anytime you click start, you'll be seeing 50. Let's refresh. Oh, and then let's refresh this page and then start. And to bring us the 5 and then the 4. Simple function. A very simple function. These are the reasons why I actually let us learn the functions. Well, come here. So function stop game, and then the stop game for now. Please, this thing we are doing, we are going to build so many things inside of it. For now, what we want to do is to simply set these two numbers. So I'll copy these two, bring them here, and then we simply set them to 0. Like that. Set them to 0, 0. That's all. So when we refresh this and then we hit start here, we see 4, 5, and 4. And yeah, so you go to the button, this one, the second one, the end game one, and then we just do on click, yeah, on click, then we just do end game. Is that what I did? Stop game. So you do stop game, then you simply have this simple. So you start game, end game, start game, end game, start game, end game. So you see, there is nothing strange about what you've been seeing online. There's nothing strange about it. All the stuff you go to somebody's website and see, there are these things are happening down behind the scenes. So if you have been able to reach this point, I must say that finally you are progressing as a programmer. I'm not lying to you, because this small thing, if you have colleagues around, this small thing, just go there, do something, and then show them. They'll be there and they'll be clapping. Wow, 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 wow. The guy is good. Guys, oh yeah, that was just by the way. Let's continue. But if you have been able to reach, I must commend you that you can work, go further. So the next thing we want to do is, you see, what we said was that when we start the game, we want the text here to also change. Like the text should be like, because we want the system to be able to use that text. But you see, this one is too long. Will we be always repeating this? No. So I want us to call all our I want us to call all our functions, like all our DOMs inside one function. I want us to call all our tags, like how do I do it? But I know you understand what I'm trying to say. I want us to create a function that will call everything that we want to do. You let the function call it from there. So let's create, oh no, if we use a function, I think it will be difficult to access them. So I think we need to list them straight. We need to let them come straight up here. But let me tell you, JavaScript is more deeper than we are doing right now. As we go along, you will. So please just tune your mind to everything we are doing here. So don't use const in this case, because when you use const, it's difficult to changing the values that you get from whatever that you are doing. So this one, this num, I want to move this particular half. Look at it very well. I want to move this particular half from here and then bring it up here and see, let num1 equal So let num1 equals to that. I didn't bring any .html or anything of the inner text or inner html. I didn't do anything of the sort. So instead of saying document I'll just use num1 here all the time. Simple. When I start the game, it's still working fine here. Because I don't want us to be repeating this document or get ID document every all the time. So that means that even with the next one, let's delete this. And then let's have comma. We will see num2. So I'll cut off this part. I'll cut off this part to and see num2. Sorry, num2. So it will be num2 equals that one. Please, you should understand why I didn't bring let again. You can declare variables on the same line, various variables on the same line. So what we are just declaring, you can declare various variables on the same line, but you must separate them with, you can just bring the let color, the let keyword, then you just use comma to separate them once. So it will understand that you are creating multiple variables and you are using let to create all those variables. But these are separate stuff. So when you come here and do num2, simple. So we can also change here to num1, then change here to num2. So right now we want to be calling documents.document.document again. And I think even with the initial num, yeah, we can leave it like that because that one we'll be calling it probably once. Now you see, we are having 5. We don't want this one to be 5 and 4. We want it to be a random number, and I think it is best. I want us to play around math.floor. Math.floor is actually a flooring. You can get a flooring for a those. I think our mathematicians will tell us there's ceiling, seal, and there's floor. That's I learned more about that in Excel than even the classroom mathematics. So there is seal and there is floor. So we are going to play around that to actually give us something to work with better. Now, initially, we learned that these two numbers, when we say next round, okay, I was coming to talk about something else before this. This start. When we click on start, we want it to check something. The next round, this start, we've actually called it the next round. We've assigned the next round to it. Now we want to do something with it. When we come here, now the next round here, let's give it an ID. Let's give it an ID. So let's just see the ID of this. Sorry, why am I putting this? Sorry. Yeah, it should be here rather. The ID of this should be just ETN start, because that's the name we have for it. ETN start. Somebody asking a question. Okay. Nobody. Yeah, Charles, your hand is up. Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening. Initialize it together with the inner text, like the next round. Okay. Like we say let's oh okay. Yeah. The reason why I didn't do that is that there are so many operations you can perform on this. You can say num1 dot something else, num1 dot so many things. So it is always advisable to maybe you can use num1 dot focus. Let's say it is a text field, and then you just do num1 dot inner text. That means that as soon as you do num1 dot inner text, that means that you have strictly told the system that num1 is an inner text. So you can't do anything again to it. It's an inner text. Yeah, I hope you get it now. Very good. So what we want to do, let's call BTN, the one that we did. Me, if as you look at me like that, the way I'm lazy when it comes to programming, I don't have time to come and be doing logolege with AO. Charlie, I'll just straight away I'll copy and paste and I'll go my way. So we will call this BTN next. Or no, BTN start. BTN start equals document.get element by ID BTN start. Yeah, straight away. I don't need this one. So I have this. Now, I want to do something. You see, when we click next run, if the thing is the text showing there is this one is not inner text. This one is inner HTML. I think so. No problem. Let's look at how we are going to access it. That's the most important thing. If the text there, let's just say that when I click, I want to change the text. So BTN at I think text content or title. Let's look at title, text content, inner text, outer text. Title, inner text, outer text. Let's try them and then see report something like next. Okay. Next number. Let's do this and see. When I click this, good. So that the inner text worked. So you see that when I click, it is saying next number. Next number. So if I refresh, it will bring my start game. But if I click, it will say next number. Nowadays I get hungry people. So next number. But we don't want next number to just appear. We don't want next number to just appear, or should it appear? But when we click this, it should reset everything back. So let's just see that you will bring this thing to stop game, and then we'll do this start game. Start game. We'll be doing a whole lot with this text that is going to be changing. So have that in mind. So we have that. So when we do that, start game, end game, start game, next number. Good. So we want to say that you see these numbers, we want to say that if the text here is next number, then it should actually give us another number. It should give us, or it should do some additions and subtractions and all that. But we'll rest that for now. We can even we'll build a function inside next run. So now let's go to these our numbers, and then let's just generate a random number, math.random, and then let's just multiply that by 100. 100, okay, 100. So let's do the same thing for this one. Let's do the same thing for this one. And then let's just say this one too by 100. So when we start and we click, we are getting, forget about the numbers that are appearing. We are going to floor all of them. So you see, this number is the decimal is just crazy. The decimal is just crazy. So what we want to do, pardon? How do you mention this decimal? What we want to do is actually to make this thing look more presentable. So what I would want to do is to floor this number. So there is another function known as math.floor. Yeah, math.floor. And then it takes a number. So math.floor, this number, we put everything inside of math.floor. Math.floor. Let's just see what happens when we click. It has floored it to 55. That's removed everything and then floored it to 55. If you click next number like that, you see what is happening? So we would want to do the same thing to this math.floor, and then we put it everything we put math.random times our 100 inside of that. Then when we go, we are getting these very simple numbers. These numbers we are getting, you see, if you have checked, they are between 1, like let's say 0 point something and 100, like 1 and 100. They are between those two. So that is if you want that is where you want your numbers to be, because it's like it is giving you 0. As a matter of fact, the random is giving you 0. But you see, because you cannot just say, is 0 a random number? Yeah, 0 may be a random number. But how can you be generating zeros as random? 0, anytime 0. So they've added a little bit of, I don't know, that kind of decimal that was appearing. I don't know what it was. I don't know how you call that. But they've given you some long decimal numbers attached, like a long decimal number starting with 0. So whatever you do with the number, if you want it to be like, so you can approximate that number to 1 in your head. You can approximate it to 1, and then probably you can then you multiply it by a certain how do we call it, a certain range that you want. So if I want this to be in the thousands, I can simply come here and do this. Okay, so and simply come here and do this. Then when I refresh and start again, right now it will be working within the thousands. It will be working within the thousands. So it will start from 1 to 1,000. So 0 has appeared here, 0 to 1,000. Because random number starts from 0. So it will be 0 to 1,000. You can actually decide to add 1, like this, C plus 1. So that all the time you will not get 0 anywhere. So that you won't get 0 anywhere, like that. So if anything you do, it will be plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. So that you won't get 0. So if 0 is appearing, it will convert itself to 1. So these are like random numbers. So if in the case of our game, we may not want anything to be like that huge number. You may, because the limit is even 51. If the limit is 51, I think it's best to use 10 here, like that, so that you can be getting very smaller numbers like this, like that. Or you can decide to use 100, then you'll be getting the numbers within that range. Good. So we are moving on. We are moving on, small. So we've now harmonized this number a bit. Now, what do we want to do next? You see, these two numbers, anytime we work with them, we want them to like add. We are doing DOM. We are doing DOM. We are calling the document. At this point, I quite believe with this particular thing, there are so many things you can call. Like I said, you can call element by, and there are so many things you can do. You do your JavaScript stuff, and then you just let it appear on your screen like that. Now, we want to do something. We want these two numbers to add themselves. We want them to add anytime we click next number. Anytime we click next number. We want something to hold that number. We want something to hold that number. Somebody will say our function is not returning anything. Please. The function is already functioning. This is what it is return. It's like it is not return, it's a void function. Void functions, what they do is that they just do some calculations and leave it like that, without necessarily returning anything to you. So they leave it like that. So when you are using DOM to access them, it doesn't even really need anything from you. But you can create a function inside it that you are specifying that this function should return something to you. So this is a void. So you see, when you put it there, to tell you void, it's like it's not returning anything, it's void. It's just doing operations without necessarily returning anything. But we are actually using the DOM to pick the results from the operations it is doing. we are using the DOM to pick the results in the operations is doing. Can you imagine that these loan people, they still send me messages that I should come for loan? Please consider your monthly deduction for 5 years, 2,000, because 85. In Beji loan, what's me? 2,000 cedis for 5 years. And I'm 2,000 cedis, and they are 85 months. They are giving me 2,000 cedis and deduct 85 months. That's crazy. Okay, you get them. So so we want to be adding anytime this thing happens. We want to be adding that number. So let's just come here and then create a function within this function. We will say function add ranks, like that. We want it to be inside of that particular function. So you say function add ranks. So add ranks, what we want to do is to pick the results from here and there, and then add them like that. So already this one is giving us some kind of results. This one is also giving us some kind of results. But we want to hold it inside of a certain, how do you call it? A certain variable. I think that would be the best approach, is to have a variable that, but you see, that variable cannot be inside this function. If that variable is inside this function, this function run, it will reset itself all the time. We can either put it outside of this function, or we can put it inside of next run. No, when next run runs, it will stop the function from operating well. So the function should be outside. So let's added num. So let added num. Let's just leave it like that. Let added num. Let's just leave it like that, because we are not even declaring any variable type for it. It's just any. Let's now come here. I may not style anything that I'm coming to do here, because at this point I am of the belief that you know how to do your own styling and stuff. So I'll just come here and then do another div like that, and then this div, I'll give it an ID. I'll give it an ID of added num, like that. And I'll just bring a span in here. I'll bring a span in here, and no. I think the span should be the added num rather. The span should be the added num rather. So span should be the added num. Great. And let's this one be ID ADD. I'm just trying to do something so that I can just style it a bit. Let's just put something in here, then that is where the number is appearing. Let's just go to let me style it a bit. I didn't want to do that, but let's so you come here and then do AD num like that. AD num like that. Then it is trying to give me some certain things that I should use, but let me give it margin of photo. Let me give it a margin of photo. Then let me increase the font size to 20. Let's see, 30. Oh, there is also another ID in there. Sorry, another ID in there known as add num. So add num font size. Add num font size. Let me add num. This is it. Expand. Let me do something here. AD num. Then span. Let's see. Why is it not targeting the ID num? So why don't you wanna give me ID num? We have this random ID num. If it's not allowing me, maybe I'll leave it to, because I'm not going to do CSS today. My focus is on the JavaScript itself. Let's see. It says we are using an ID add num, and add num is the span actually. So let's say let me remove this first. Let me just say the font size. Forget about this. It's somebody's own working there, and mine is not working. So probably here because there's nothing targeting this thing. It's somebody's own working, and mine is not working. I enjoy it, man. I'm it, man. Dave, add now. Add, no, is that it? Add now. Let me see if this one. Still not working. I don't know. But by the way, let me leave it like that and let me go to my JavaScript and work with that one instead. So let me come to my JavaScript because that's where my attention is. Let me come and add this one to my list of. Let me add this one to my list here. Then this one will be add num. Okay, sorry. We've declared a variable here. We've declared a variable here, but total. Let me do this total num rather. It shouldn't be add num. So the add num can be the add num that we have there, like that. Great. So when we start, we want this one to be equal to 0. So let's even initialize it to 6 first. I want to check if it's still not working here. So I want to find why is it not working? It seems like our span is not being targeted well. Span ID add num. Oh yeah. Thank you. So I haven't actually done anything with it. Yeah, so I need to start by I don't even want to initialize it. Okay. Inner text. Yeah, thank you. So that's it. All right, thanks. So initially we want it to be 0. If you want it to be 0, is there even the need to? No, there's no need, simply because we have 0 written there already. So I don't think there is the need to do this. So we just leave it like that. Yeah, so that when we start, it is 0 from the initial. Good. Now let's go to, we want to do something. Anytime we click this, we want these two numbers, after they have done whatever they want to do, to add themselves. Then we want to add it again. We want to add it again. So we will just say that let's initialize this number to 0. This number to 0. Then let's do something in here by saying that we are going to add these two. So we will say that total num equals, okay, let's first add the 2. So we will say that let's add num equal to this. So you can do number this way, so that you actually, oh sorry, you can do number. When you do this, you're actually trying to tell it that whatever that I'm putting in here, turn it to a number, whether it likes it or not. Make it a number. That's what you are trying to tell it. So this plus this that. So we are having number. Then inner, okay, yeah. So okay, let me take this whole thing again. What we are doing right now is that, you see, for this one, I quite believe we all understand we can create a function within a function to actually do something for us. Yeah. So what we want to do is to call this function inside this function after all these things have occurred. Right? Okay. We can simply say that we won't even put the function in here. We won't put anything in here. We can even bring it here. But what I want to do is to put everything inside the function so that we can work with what we've learned previously. So I want to declare a variable that will be doing, like, it will be adding these two numbers after they have added themselves. Like after they have displayed, like after they have generated, I said displayed, excuse me, after they have generated, I want them to be adding themselves. Hey, the day that I said we won't keep long, no, we are going. No problem. Let's go. Wherever we reach. So we want it to add first. We want it to add themselves first. So anytime they are coming to add, we want them to we want to initialize. We have to do that. I want us to get it straight once and for all. So let's want to bring another variable to hold on to those two numbers. So let's run equals these two numbers. That is that is num1 dot inner text. Num1 has already been declared, right? Num1 dot inner text. No problem. Let's do it that way. Num1 dot inner text, and then plus num2 dot inner text. Something like this. That's what we want to do. But you see, you should know that these things appearing there, they are just they are just text. For the inner text stuff we are doing, they are just text. Then what we want to do is the total here. No? The total here, we want you to add itself up to those two numbers, the rand. So you just say total num. Total num as equals rand. Plus equals rand. Then let's just say that it should return something. It should return rand. Oh no, it should return total. It shouldn't return rand. Okay, no problem. Let's leave the return statement out, and then let's target this one, the add num, like that. Add num. So you see that add num dot inner text equals total num, something like that. So but we haven't called anything here yet. So whatever that we do, we are not getting any results from there. So what we want to do is to call this function add rands. Then let's bring parentheses. And you see what it is doing. It's not adding, it's rather doing what? Attaching, concatenating. That's not what we want to see. You want this to be a number. So you explicitly tell it that it's a number. You explicitly. And you tell this one that it's also a number. Make it number. And let's see. So you see that right now it is doing what? It is adding itself up. So that is how you actually tell JavaScript that, Master, we know it is a text. We know it is a text there, but please add it. You explicitly tell it that this thing you are picking is a number. You explicitly tell it that, please, it's my screen. If the screen is not clear to you, let me. So this is what we are doing. We are explicitly telling it that these two things, when you come here, they are text. They are just text. And we generated some random numbers and passed it to it. But after you pass it to it, pick those random numbers. And we initially had this. So pick those random numbers and then comment back. You convert them to numbers, add them, and then display the results. So do some manipulations. These are, for these things there, we've already studied them. They are not new to any of us here. We've already studied this thing. Where is my charger? My battery is full. Okay. So with these ones, we've explicitly, we've already learned them, like how to do this is not concatenation. This is like the first one we did. Yeah, it's also concatenation, by the way. But the first one we did, they were text. Then we've converted them into numbers and they are adding up here. So let's just say that I want to restart the whole thing. Our initial number is 51. The initial number, okay, no problem. Our game will continue running. So you start, and then when you start, next number, then you see, let's refresh. Okay, and so let's refresh everything. We are going to do our own manual calculations just to test that our codes run well. So let's just start the game. Start. So you say that 4 plus 5 is 9. So now we have 9 in memory. Next number, should be next numbers. It is 8. 8 plus 9 is 17. Oh, that means our code is working. The next two numbers, also 8, added up to 25. Next two numbers, 14, added up. Now, what are we trying to achieve with this? What we are doing? Say, that's not what we are trying to do. What we are trying to do is to let it reach a point where it says you have lost, you have won, or something. Game lost, game won. Based on this random number. On this limit, it's not this random number. Based on this limit. So every time we click next, it is going to pull out a random number, add it, and then check it against this. And if we have won, you should display something here that, hooray, you have won. Please, I'm not going to design my game. Hey, I'm a designer. I don't know. I don't know why my CSS is misbehaving. The designer, so designer can let it look nice over the weekend, and then, but don't focus on the front end side of what we are doing. We are doing more of the back end than the front end. So focus more on the JavaScript aspect of what you are doing. Play around all these functions and all that. An end game. You see, when we end game, we are not getting the results again. This one is still running. So we need to stop this one too from running. So when we end game, I believe this one, the cuckoo for everyone. So when we are ending the game, let's just pick this to 0. Let's just pick this to 0. And then, we are not doing let's num, we are doing total num equals 0. Then you just say added num dot, okay, yeah, we should set that one to, to 0. It's important that you set the inner text of that one to 0. So if you have this and you start the game, start, end game, start game, start, end game, start the game, start. Hey, next, end game. This is fun to work with. I believe everybody is having fun around it. So you can actually build this into something formidable. and then you give your case. I think the first thing I created when I was starting out with my programming was a game that I called. Do you remember the game? I created this game that forgotten the name of the game. Let maths. I shared it on a couple of platforms, chess platforms, and people brought out suggestions that actually at some point when there are some levels and when you choose, in fact, the child can never guess before the time ends. The child can never guess the answer. So I was like modifying. And through the modification, I was able to like hone my skills well. And I decided to branch off and then build an installable version of the Spark. That is what led me to building the installable version of the Spark. Then the Spark was in an Excel format. So I converted everything into software, full standalone software. So it's fun. Let's play around it. Okay. Hey, young Konkwana. Now we have done with this basic one, but we now want to do something. We now want to see, say, is the game ending? Like the game, you should check after it has done everything there. You should check if the game, like, is it the game or whatever? If the final number is equal to this number, or is more than that, or is less than that. If the number is less than that, you should be able to run. You should be able to, like, if I click next and the number is less, you should be able to still give me some two sets of numbers. But if the number is more, you should stop the game. So let's create another function in here and call it check limit. Like check limit. One thing I love about JavaScript is its ability to actually allow you to put functions within functions. That is what makes it nice. That's what makes it nice. Did we bring anything in here? So this number, this thing we must pass it as a variable here so that we can work with it. Okay, all right. So I think we will still need to assign some kind of variable to this one. So let's just say, let's call it limits. Let's call it limits. So limit is equal to. So that will mean that we need to remove this thing from here. And I believe you all agree with me that if we are doing that, it means we need to remove it from there and rather send it down like inner text. This one. You don't want to assign the whole thing to limit. So you just say this thing must go away from here so that you can have a clear eye. So you just say limit but inner HTML. Okay, let's see, maybe inner HTML. But I want us to floor the number here. You see, this thing will run once. So I want us to do this. I want us to give it also a random number. I want us to give it a random number, but this time around, let's make it 100. Is it 10? Let's do 50. Let's do times 50 plus 1. Okay, 50 plus 1 is giving us some, the numbers are not good. So let's say 100 plus 1. The numbers, come on. It's 1,000, okay. Okay, I think 1,000 is okay. 1,000, we may not, the likelihood of getting a smaller number will always be less. Good. So you can play around it, find a number, something that is okay for you. All right. Let's now, so that means that right now when we start our game, immediately we get a random number. When you refresh, you spoil the game. When you are refreshing, you spoil the game. So there is a way to actually stop the refresh. You can go and research on that small. There's a way to stop a page from refreshing. So that when you click the button, this refresh button, the browser will not work. Everything you have to do will come from the buttons in here. That particular page, there's a way to use cookies to stop it. So you can research around that. If you don't want to research around it, just forget about it. So when we start, yeah, we want these numbers, we add, then whilst we are adding, fine, it is good. This is just like a random game, something like, so we call it a mathematical game. You can call it a random game. So you don't actually control how the numbers come, but you actually get to enjoy how the numbers flow. So now what I want to do is to check limits. Check limit. So check limit will simply do that. It will pick the total number, and then you see it is even this game. Tab 9 is trying to think for us. But I think I love how people have been able to write codes that think beyond AI. These are all AI. These are all artificial intelligence. It's good. Charlie, now let's go. What we want to do is to the numbers will keep changing because we are working within our script. When we do that, since we are doing live server, so I'm doing live server something, so to change. What we want to do right now is to check the limit. So we just say that if total num, let me delete this and then write my own code. If total num is I'm thinking of if total num or total num is greater than that's our total num. Yeah, if it is greater than our limits, yeah, but we don't need the inner. We don't need the, I said the inner. We don't need the equal to. So we say limits dot inner text. But mind you, the limit dot inner text is actually a text. The limit dot inner text you are seeing here. Where from this plenty things. The limit dot inner text you are seeing here is actually a text. There's nothing wrong with what we are doing, but I think that to put you and I on the safer side, let's just explicitly tell it that this is a number. Yeah, so that we don't run into any problems. That is to me. Let's not run into any problems. So if the total num is greater than inner text, then we need to stop the game. We need to stop the game and see something. You need to stop the game and see something. So you can simply say, hey, yesterday I promised to call this guy, Sylvester. Yeah, Lacrace, I think I'll have to give you a small task for me to do. Sylvester is actually in your school area, not your school area specifically, but he's around Swiss there. So I will let him come to you. Then probably whatever we have done from Monday till today, you can walk him through. Please, would that be okay for you? Okay. Yeah, it's also a learning opportunity for yourself, so that you can actually, the more you are giving out knowledge. Sorry about the plenty task, but now I can let's kindly, I'll let him come so that you walk him through one or two things. Yeah. I think he's down with he's not ill, but he's down with something. But he's not ill. Just that he's emotionally down with some one or two. His father called me to explain some stuff. I'll let him come to you. Okay, that's just by the way. So anybody else can reach out to him and then just ask how he's doing and all that. So that if total num is greater than number, then we want to stop him. Sorry. We want to stop him. So we call this function. This function is a global function. So, but you can't call check limits anywhere inside except from here. Good. So after we have done that, we can stop the game, and then probably we give an alert. We give an alert. The alert would simply say, "Hooray!" Oh, no. If it is greater, you will say, "You lost." Sorry, you lost. Sorry. Then we are going to do an else if. Else if total is equal to number. Else if total is equal to number, inner limit dot html whatever dot text. Let's close it here. Great. Then we will say we also give an alert that hooray. Hooray. Please, alert is simply that thing that appears up there. Like when you are working, at times when you can create your personal alert using modals. jQuery and modals. You can create your personal alert that will like pop out something modal nice one. Or you can simply use the one provided by JavaScript that appears in the browser. Up there, fine, appear. So, hooray! Your numbers matched. Your numbers matched. Okay. So you started the game. Number no sudodo. Rabeni ebedu 600. So start game. Next number. Oh, so you're also not telling me anything. I'm not even calling the function. Like I'm not calling the function to come and work. So check limit, I'm not calling it. So I think from here we can do check limits. Check limits. Yeah. All right. Let's now start it. Hey, Abutreo. You see, when we start, I think we are giving 0 to when we start, both numbers are 0, right? Both numbers are 0 when we let me refresh. Start game. Yeah. Hooray, your numbers matched because both numbers are actually 0 from scratch. Total number equals 0. And then let's find a way to let this, when we start, we are getting 0. We are getting 2 numbers equals to 0. Inner text is equal to 0. That's what it's telling us, that when we start, inner text is equal to 0 because the stop function here actually works within here. So the stop function will make this one be equal to 0. We'll make, tell me. Yeah. Thank you. I'm doing assigning. Yeah. So yeah. I think our code that's the problem. Here is okay. Here is okay. This is the only problem that we created. Yeah. Thanks for drawing my attention. I was doing assigning instead of yeah. Thanks. So we start the game. Good. So now we refresh the game. Let's start the game and let's start. Go, 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 go. You lost. You lost. But we don't want you lost to come first. We want to display the results before you lost. I think that should be the honorable thing to do. Because, okay, it's still the same thing. If you click and you are lost, but we want these things to display first. We want the results here to display first before it will tell us that we lost. So how do we go about that? We do that by displaying the results. So I think check limit, instead of bringing check limit here, no, check limit has to come here instead. So this is where check limit must be. It must come inside of rand. So I need a smaller number. Okay. Good. So it will check the limit after the numbers have displayed. One check it. I'll check it. I still the same. Still is yeah, but I want this thing to display first. Add. It does display. But you see, I wanted it to like display. I want it to like display on the screen so that we know that these are the numbers that came. That's the final number before it actually stops the game. Before it stops the game. So check limits. This is okay. This code is running fine. Everything we have here is fine. Stop game. Okay. So if the numbers are that, check limit. So why don't we do the random? Why don't we let this one come inside of check limit rather? So instead of calling add rands, you call check limit. So you call check limit, but the add rands will work first before the check limit will come. So this is what I want to do. I'm trying something out to see. So let's let me comment this one out. And then before this thing will run, I want to do the add rands here rather. I'm trying something out to see, and let me start the game. Good. So start, go. Sorry, you lost. You see, this is I didn't lose. I got 47. You get it? I got 47. But they say I still lost. And after I lost, the limits, this thing should have reset itself to another random number. So I think, yeah, inside our game, we are not we are not doing anything to the limit. I'm not doing anything to the limit. The limit we should repeat this. Repeat this. This is not, this has nothing to do with drive. With this one, you are setting the number with another thing else. Let's start the game again. Okay, 8. You're having 24, 39. So next two numbers. What I want to do is I see the next two numbers, they don't appear, but they just tell me that I lost. Is that I wanted our numbers to display. Our numbers must display before it will tell us that we have lost or we haven't lost. Get it? No. You see, let's do this. When I did this, it actually gave me the results 18. And we know that 18 is less than this number. So when we click next, it will definitely give us another number, 32. But you see, 32 is okay. Probably we need to change the arrangement. All our functions are correct, but probably the arrangement of our functions. 32 is less than how do we call it? 39. So we need to click next. But when we click next, we definitely know it is either going to tell us we have lost or we have won, but it is not showing us that number that was added. So we want it to, like, maybe when we click, the numbers must display first. You get it? Before, so we must get the next total before it will come and tell us that we lost. So like this one, we know it's 0. When we add, when we do this, it says that we lost. That means that it has calculated the number already before telling us that we have lost. But we want it to display the numbers that actually came before it will come and tell us that we lost. You can't just come and tell us that we lost. What was the number? What was the final number that made us lose? Why are we displaying? Here's the total. This is the total limit. The top here is the limit, and it is, we have randomized. You said why are we displaying? Oh yeah, limit. Sorry, that is the total. That is this one. Added num. Here, added num. Yeah. Yes. Inside the function add runs. So anytime we do add runs, we actually want it to run. We actually want it to display this thing, the added num. So the added num is just the total. Now, after it does that, we want this total num, which is the added num. The added num, we are just displaying the total. We want it to, like, check that, oh, total now, is it greater than the number? But what we are seeing is that it is not displaying to us before it tells us that we have lost or we have won. Yeah, that is the challenge I'm giving to you, all of you, to go and solve. So that will be your challenge for the rest of the weekend. You build on that, and make sure that the numbers they display. If I don't give you challenges and it's like every day spoon feeding, it won't make you sit on your toes and then sit on your torsos and try to understand what is actually happening and how to overcome the challenges that are happening in there. So I'm throwing this challenge to everyone that I want these numbers. I don't want it to be like when we are displaying, it will come and tell us we have lost when it didn't display the final number to us. Probably what you can do, what has come to my mind is that you can start by stopping this. You can start by letting this one stop. You can start by letting this function not be called anywhere first, like this. Probably you won't call it anywhere first. No, I won't give you any anymore. But this is the only thing I can give you. I probably can make this thing stop and then start by testing it like that. But this one will continue to go, because you see, when we made this stop, it actually showed that the next number, like let's say this, it showed that if we've lost, it showed us, but it showed us that the next numbers were these. So we want these numbers to display before it will tell us that it isn't working, like there's a problem. So we have lost. I said it isn't working. Because tell us that we have lost. Then from there, it will reset itself. So I want you to overcome that small challenge and then redesign your game to look very nice, nicer than mine. The next thing I want you to add before Monday comes is that whatever that is being, what the numbers that came, the first number, the first set of random numbers, the second set, this is something very simple to do. Very simple to do. The numbers that will be coming, you can create a small something here, like below this space, and then you name it random numbers, like numbers or random numbers. Then you bring the these two sets, the first two, here, second 2 there, third 2 under it. So when it ends, the game ends, you'll be able to see all the numbers that came. So when you click start again, it will clear everything and then bring the next set of numbers that we are showing. Very simple to do. If you really just sit down and think about it logically, you come up with something. That will probably be your task for the week. I'll try to make an audio out of it and then probably show, like put it on Discord so that those who might not be getting the task clearly will see how to go about it.